Back here on the Above the Rim Coaches Show, we're going to talk some St. Cloud State men's basketball right now as the head coach of the Huskies, Quincy Henderson, joins us. Coach, how we doing?
Doing good, Steve. Just gearing up for a big week ahead here.
Yeah, big weekend coming up to wrap up the regular season, but just finished off a pretty nice weekend. You go to Wayne and Augustana this weekend. It starts Thursday. Well, I guess it starts Wednesday with the travel that you guys had to go through this weekend. But you go into a game Wednesday night against Wayne. Always a tough place to play. Kind of a grind-it-out type game happened on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's a long travel week for us, leaving Wednesday afternoon to get in there. A reasonable time on Wednesday. You're playing on Thursday. Staying Thursday, traveling Friday, and then playing Saturday, and then back late Saturday night. And yeah, Wayne is a tough place to play. If you just statistically, they just play a lot better at home than they do on the road. And they're defensively, they really get after you. And I thought they frustrated us through a big portion of that game. And it was going to be challenging. We knew that, but fortunately, made enough plays down the stretch there.
Well, kind of the same, a little bit similar to Crookston and the fact that you guys had to make some big shots down the stretch, including the one I thought was maybe the biggest shot of the night was the one Zay hit with about 5 minutes to go. You guys are down 6. They're getting some momentum, and as Zay comes down, knocks down a huge 3 to cut that lead in half. Yeah,
I think they struggled to make shots early on, and I kept saying it. If you're going to win games this time of year, certainly games that have big implications with conference tournament seedings and the rest of it, you're going to have to make some plays, and we've been able to do that to this point, and certainly that can't change moving forward.
Well, the first half of that game, you guys were -8 on the glass, which is not like you, but then also no turnovers. So despite the fact that their defense was obviously pretty good, you guys held on to the basketball and unfortunately lost the rebounding total. So two kind of different stats that shake out there in the first half.
Yeah, and you got to be good in, I guess, some area to win those games. You can't be bad in both. I was pleased that we had taken care of the basketball. We probably just did score it at a clip that we wanted to. But then the rebounding piece, they were really crashing hard. I thought we were a bit soft. I know I challenged the guys at halftime to try and block some guys out. You got to clear space. We weren't going to win jump-in battles with them. They've got some pretty athletic wings. And we were better in the second, but you just hate to see that at half. That's an area that we expect to be good in both halves, regardless of who we're playing, whether it's athleticism, size, speed. It's something we work on a lot.
Yeah, 16 offensive rebounds for Wayne. It only yielded 9 second chance points, but in a game that is as close as that, I know that's a number that sticks out for you.
Yeah, it's not a margin that's usually going to hold up in most games. And I keep saying, I think I said afterwards, I don't want to be lucky. In games, we've got to create our own fortune, and giving up 16 on boards. Fortunately, it was only 9 second chance points, but that usually, again, doesn't hold in really competitive games, and certainly on the road. You got to earn everything, and you can't give second chance opportunities to a good team on the road.
I've heard some coaches say, you step on the floor on the road, it's like you're down 10. How do you – what's your mindset there going on the road?
I don't, score. I don't, sadly, I should be more. Maybe in the last few minutes of a game, situationally, I'm looking at to score, but through the course of the game, it's not something I really focus on. It's the possession by possession. Are we in the right positions? Are we executing the things that we worked on all week? And then whatever happens after that is going to happen. And so I don't follow that too much. We really try and stay within each possession. I know that's the old cliche of it, but it's the reality of how we've approached games, and probably why we haven't been rattled necessarily when we've gotten down in some situations where it hadn't looked overly promising.
Well, you come out of there with a 67-64 win on Thursday. Then you got Friday off. Saturday, what was billed as a huge matchup against Augustana, certainly lived up to that billing. First half, 50-40 at halftime. Augustana's got a 10-point lead. What were your thoughts after the first 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think defensively we just weren't great. And I think they made some good plays. I think they're pretty potent offensively, and Cody does a really good job with that group of putting them in positions to be successful. And, it's our job to not allow that. And I thought we allowed them to get free a lot in that half. Our rotations were poor. Our switches, communication was average. We knew we were going to have to be better in the second half. And assuming we did that, then we just had to rely on that to hold. And some of those shots that were going in that first half to start missing. And the guys, they stuck with it, then quit on it, committed to it. And that ended up happening. And we were able to flip that margin.
Did it feel a little bit like the first half against Duluth? I mean, where they were kind of making a lot of shots, and you kind of felt like if you could stay in it, the percentages were going to come back in your favor.
Yeah, we had to score it. We couldn't be, in the 20s or probably low 30s in that first half. We fortunately were able to score a bit. But yeah, it's again, water finds its level. I mean, it has to find its level or you lose. So, our defense is our defense. Our system is our system. We've got to live with whatever the result is after that. And, I think it did find its level a bit there in the second, and we continued to score the basketball, which is what allowed us to get out of there with a really hard-fought win, and I think a pretty hostile environment up at Augustana.
Yeah, it was a 16-point Augustana lead with 16-18 left in the second half. You guys ended the game on a 38-15 run to come back in that one to win 87-80. What was working? I mean, down that stretch, what was some of the reasons you guys felt like you got the lead back?
Defensively is the starting point, right? Our communication and rotations they were so much better in that second half than what we saw in the first. Thought we cleaned up the glass at a higher clip. We were only giving them one shot. We stifled them a bit. And we were getting the shooters and slowing them down, in the half courts. And then we made some plays. Nate hit some shots, had massive rebound in his first action back in a month. Kynan was great. Luke was great. Lee had some phenomenal takes. Wyatt, I just kind of across the board. Anish, did great defensively in a really tough matchup. And guys just collectively stepped up and trusted each other and able to make the plays we needed to in that one.
Well, the guy I forgot to ask you about after the game that I think was instrumental in that comeback, especially on the defensive end, was Wyatt. I mean, I thought he was great down the stretch, holding them out of the paint, doing all the things. Obviously, the block at the end was big. What did you like about what he was doing on Saturday?
Yeah, I like what he was doing in the same way I like what he's done all year for us. He's just been such a consistent, steady presence inside, both in rim protection and rebounding. It allows us to do a lot of different things off the ball when you always have him behind you cleaning up some plays and certainly being the catch-all for some busted coverages. So he just continues to do his thing on the defensive end. And then he had, the putback dunk and a throw ahead after the block. He sprinted the floor. You normally don't see your 5-man doing that in that situation. He's hanging around, but he wants to win, and it was on full display there throughout the game, and then certainly late as well.
Well, Anish had a lot of minutes on Tamron Ferguson on Saturday. There was a time late in the second half where I heard you say something to him like, "Hey, keep digging in, keep going at him," because it was a battle out there.
Yeah, we're asking him to do a lot, and covering Ferguson on a high ball screen and in transition, it's a tall ask for I think anybody in the league and likely anybody in Division II. I think he's that good. But we said it was going to be a collective effort. We needed great help from Wyatt behind him, and then we needed our gap help to be great as well. And through that, I thought overall in that second half, we really got back to what we've been doing most of the year defensively and how it should look and the level of communication that allows you to win games.
Yeah, it was a heck of a comeback to claim the conference championship. Still 2 games left in the regular season, but to claim the conference championship, I know that's not your end goal, but certainly has to feel good about where you guys are at.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we discussed in September, early on of, hey, these are things that we want to accomplish. That's one of them. And there's more out there. There's still a lot more out there for us. And these next 2 games are huge in terms of chance to be in that regional as an at-large bid. And we're on the bubble right now, just given the way the numbers flesh out. But we've got to be great through this week and into that conference tournament to really get on to some of the other goals that we'd hope to accomplish.
Well, we'll talk about the upcoming week in just a moment with head coach Quincy Henderson, back with more on the Above the Rim Coaches Show. Part 2 of our conversation with St. Cloud State men's basketball coach Quincy Henderson, and our last Coaches Show conversation with Quincy Henderson. No show next week leading into the conference tournament. But final week of the regular season, the penultimate game Wednesday night at home against CSP, a game in which you guys won at the Gengeloff Center by 6 the first time around. Going back through the last couple meetings against CSP, the margins have been really small at the end of games. It has been some back-and-forth games that have ended in some tight windows over the last, I think it's 4 or 5 meetings now.
Yeah, that's just, I think, the nature of it. They're a good team. I think Coach Fletcher does a great job with that group. He's got them playing at a high level right now. To go to Sioux Falls, and get them there, and then go to Southwest and effectively lead wire to wire in that game is no small task. I think they started great. They had some injuries, and I think probably some losses resulted because of that. But now they're healthy again, and they're shooting the ball well. They rung up a lot of threes on Southwest and had some pretty tough shots. And obviously Kopetsky is player of the week coming into this week. So there's just a lot. They got a potent offense. They like to play a little bit of small ball. We're going to have to be really good in this game to have a chance, because they're still fighting for that first round bye. There's a lot to play for on both ends. So I'd expect it to be a hotly contested one.
Anything you can take away from that first meeting that sticks out? Rebound. They're going to shoot. They're high possession, so there's going to be a lot of long rebounds, and they got guys that chase it. They know that, so you can't give them second chance points when they've got a potent offense, and their points per possession is really high. So that's probably going to be the biggest thing for us, is you can only give them one shot. If you're giving them multiple, I think your ship is sunk there. Well, you're talking about the 4 or 5 best players in the league. Ben Kopetsky's name is certainly among them. I mean, the way he's able to kind of control tempo and get those other guys involved, it's maybe a little bit similar to Ferguson in terms of his ability to get to the middle and find his shooters. Doesn't maybe shoot it as well as Ferguson from that range, but I think he's a tremendous player who's able to affect the game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think probably similar in impact and how they impact their teams and what they provide offensively for all the other guys in terms of assists, scoring, ability to put you in tough situations, again, in a high ball screen. So, yeah, he's you got to be good on him, if you're going to have a chance to win. And then there's just a ton of other complementary pieces. Sam West, is actually their leading assist guy. Who passes the ball really well, can post up, can shoot it, just a really smart player. Owen Carlson has been playing at a really high clip, shooting the ball, defending. So, yeah, it's I think everybody who steps on the floor for them is potent in their own way, and we're going to have our hands full.
Well, you guys are undefeated at home going into your final home game. Obviously, we talk about how tough it is to win on the road. I guess the opposite side of the coin is then, you got to protect your home court. How have you felt like you guys have handled being at home and winning these games?
Yeah, I think we've been just overall, solid at home. I don't know. I think outside, we played 4 neutral site games. We were 1-3, and then we lost at obviously Sioux Falls and Southwest going into Christmas break. But outside of that, I think we've probably been the same at home and on the road in terms of if you just look at game flow and what it looks like. But certainly advantage to not have to travel, different food, all that stuff. But I don't know. I don't think it's a huge advantage in the sense that, Concordia's coming day of. It's only an hour drive up, and they'll be ready. So not much changes for them other than an hour bus ride. They'll be ready to go, and we've got to gear up for this one.
Do you think there's any truth to the statement that with later into the games, you guys have played deep into these games and made some plays at the end of games to win? Do you think your team's doing a good job of kind of wearing on the opponent right now?
I think probably to some extent that I think, but it's maybe just our mentality is we expect it to be a 40-minute game regardless of really what happens over the first 30 or 35. So we approach it with that mindset, and we've just kind of with our rotation and some of the injuries, we've been playing, 9-10 guys, as well in different places and mixing and matching here week in and week out. So it's, you're always adjusting and trying to find different ways to be successful and win games, and it might not always look the same. How
important is it to have Nate Dahl back here over the final week?
Yeah, it's huge, right? He hadn't taken a live rep in 4 weeks. He had been out for a month, and suddenly he plays 17 minutes, in a game, and those are his first live reps. So he was amazing. He had some great plays and this monster rebound late. A couple of those threes were really big. I thought it took him probably that first half to find his legs a little bit, maybe his wind. I still don't think he fully found those, but he just does so much from a leadership standpoint, a talk standpoint. Hard not to follow a guy like that.
Well, last game of the regular season is Saturday at Winona. You guys handled the Warriors the first time. What are you taking away from that first meeting?
Yeah, I honestly don't take a lot away from that. I know we jumped them pretty good here. I know they're a significantly better team than the way they played here, and they're always tough to play at home. They've always got a good crowd, a rowdy bunch that gets after you a bit, and the ball seems to go through the hole for them at home a lot more than it does on some of these road trips. So that'll be it has, last year was down 10 with 58 seconds left and somehow found a way to win that. We've always just been in dogfights down there, and Saturday will be no different.
Yeah, it should be fun, and I know you guys are focused on winning these two games, but the conference championship is obviously a great feather in your cap, and then you mentioned trying to get that at-large bid. These are two big ones this week.
Yeah, just monsters, and that's really where our focus is now moving forward.
Coach, I appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Thanks, Steve.
That is Quincy Anderson, head coach of the Huskies, here on the Above the Rim Coaches Show.